Yo, 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 what is up? Oh,
Hello, can you hear me? Can you hear
can
me?
you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, man. It's
Ah,
my it was weird because before we actually started up, my mic was cutting in and out when I was trying to figure out what's going on. I think it's messed up too though. It's fine. But
yeah,
before all that is going down,
yeah, it was
good.
funny. It was like even before JR's like, I could tell JR was thrown off because,
It's new.
first off, I
It's
was
different.
like, I usually give him like a heads up, like, hey, this is what's going to happen.
Hmm.
We're going to, because for those who don't know, JR writes the show. Um, and
Huh.
so Jared will go through when we've got like a broad topic,
Yeah.
or we're like in like more news and notes or something like that. Like, we're
Mhm.
like, for example, as we get closer to Comic Con season, which we kind of already are. I think we're already past like Emerald City. We had WonderCon last weekend, which by the way we
Yeah.
will kind of get into maybe in next week or the week after. But when there's a lot going on, Jared will write the show. Now when we were during COVID, I mean, you full on like wrote pages and pages of
Yeah.
notes. It was so good.
It was a little bit too
Now,
much. Yeah.
well,
Thank you.
no, there's no such thing as too much prep. But
Hmm.
now we're both doing so much research and bringing so much to the table. He's like, bro, there it is, and like we have our own little Discord channel. Which, by the way, you guys, if you follow the link on some of our socials, it will take you to the Discord channel, and we'll add you. Because we're gonna
Yeah.
start doing like some behind the scenes and other stuff. But nonetheless, yeah. So Jared's like, this is new. We use an app called StreamYard to do this, and it's a really neat interface. And over the last 3 or 4 years, because we used to remember the good old days when we recorded, like we actually recorded, and it took me about a day or two to edit and add
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
all the graphics and stuff like that. Like I legit had to edit
Yeah.
our videos. Now I can just go like, he is, what else wrong? He is Jared Kombakungan, also not Jared Cogs 42 on Instagram. I used to have to like go
Same.
in like 2 days later and add that in.
Mm.
But nonetheless, yeah. Also not Jared Comics 42 on Instagram. The link to his socials are in his bio, especially his eBay page.
Yeah.
Uh, what you got up there on the eBay page lately?
Oh, not yet. Not nothing yet. It's just old stuff right now. But like, I'm gonna put up like some PS2, PS3, like stuff. Keep on talking. You put me
I
on a little bit of a thing, but I'm gonna show you what's up. Give me a second. I'm just
I
gonna stop the camera quick. But go ahead, keep on talking.
all right. So he's gonna go bring us some cool swag here in just a second. That's gonna be put on the eBay page. So what we're gonna be talking about, by the way, I'm Kevin Pillow at Voice of Reason 23 on all social media platforms, including finally TikTok. I got that a few months ago. I was able to hijack back Voice of Reason 23 from the fucktards on the far right. Um, and by the way, before any of you guys start coming at me, be like though I'm pretty moderate,
Yeah.
um, I lean conservatively, so
Hmm.
I'm trashing kind of my own kind. But long story short, the guy who had Voice of Reason 23 on TikTok um went off the reservation. I mean, this
He
guy
was
just
he was no voice of
dude
reason.
was he was the worst human being possible. Um
Yeah.
let's put it this way. This is the kind of guy that so far the right would make me want to become a liberal.
Mm.
Um he was so bad, and the problem was is he was then sharing stuff, and then people that were bashing him and supporting him were sharing it to other social media platforms. But what happens is he doesn't have at Voice of Reason on any other social media platform because I
Remember
do.
that. I remember that.
I got in the most negative way possible. I got so many new followers that day,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
some of which I probably didn't want.
Hmm.
And I remember there was this one guy who messaged me or DM'd me and was just shitting on me. And I went, look at my profile picture. I'm not him. I said, look at my profile. I've been on Twitter. This is where the biggest indiscretion was on Twitter. And I said, look at my Twitter handle. I've been a Twitter user since like 2000, like infancy. The guy on TikTok was brand new to the platform. And if you follow his social media link on his bio, it doesn't take him to this Twitter account.
Yeah.
And so I told the guy, I said, listen, I got you. I said, I'm a conservative. I don't appreciate this guy. I think he's off his base. And I said, but I think if you follow my social media, you'll sell that I'm not this guy.
Yeah.
The guy that was DMing me, that was just shit on me, then turned around and started DMing people going, dude, this isn't the same guy. Bro, you need to lay off this. So he came to my aid. I was like, dude, cool. And I actually got followers because of it.
Yeah, hey, like sometimes those are the best stories, even though it's like kind of the worst stories as well. But like I'm the same way in the sense of like, yeah, I'm more moderate leaning left, right? My dick leans left a little bit, but like it's so wild that like I have a little bit more progressive values, and they think like, oh, that means you fucking are one of those people that like want to that think that women shouldn't have, that women are just only this sex or that sex, and it just go completely off their fucking rocker. I'm like, nah, I just want to be able to have my discretion of having separate church and state. I want to be able to. I want to be able to, to look at progressive shit like, oh, people like myself are better off, but people who aren't better off because of whatever have you in their life, their system, I think it's good for them to look after them. Like that's my ideals, right? I also want to own a gun, multiple guns, and so it's like that sense, right? Whereas like now, but you're pitted into like when you have some level of critical thinking on either side, you go, oh, you're a fucking grifter here or that. Like, no, bro, it's like I live in the real. I live in the real world. And my view of the real world, granted, though how limited it may be, is like it's telling me like, yo, we're it's not like how you put online. It's like just literally go outside and talk to somebody. Go outside.
Yeah,
I live.
I'm the same
for
way.
Living,
like,
for living in a very blue state, we're actually in a very red part of the state. As in like, granted, it's also one that it is probably the gayest part of the state. Legitimately,
right? I think there's San Francisco, West Hollywood, Hillcrest.
Hey, they go, they leave there to party down here. We've made this joke up for so long.
White parties. They're not doing white party this year.
Well, not this year, but like they haven't been doing that like the last couple of years because like one, Palm Springs is just complete fucking shit town in the sense of like wanting to screw over people that want to make their own businesses down here. Like they shell out and they whore out for like what are the two big ones in downtown Palm Springs that they fucking like they threw out 3-4 mom and pop shops to put up like a boutique like a boutique shop for clothes and that one pizza place. It was like you took out 4 or 5 mom and pop shops for that? Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, sometimes not the greatest place to live, but sometimes it is the best place to live. And
aside from that,
nonetheless, I mean, people, like I said, if people know me, they know that I'm pretty. What we got there, bro?
So this is an oldie. This is an RE2.
You're gonna take it off blur, dude.
I know.
No one's gonna want to see your bed in the background, but
I don't want to see my bed in the background. But let me see.
Where else are they gonna know where the magic happens?
Man, magic happens everywhere.
They're right there. So, brown chicken, brown cow.
Okay, so this is OG. I bought this a long freaking time ago, right? This is Resident Evil 2. This is a Resident Evil 2 controller. Yeah, a Resident Evil 2 controller, chainsaw controller. And I have the GameCube one as well. I'm gonna put both those up on my eBay page. I think the last 2 sold for like somewhere around $400 to $500 or something like that each, not together, each. And so, just trying to see what I can get or so just for selling game stuff now. They've been like kind of just stacking up, collecting dust for the longest time. They're technically gonna be like, I never used them, but they're gonna be listed as pre-owned because I had to check them off.
You have to, unless it's like fresh off the shelf, you can't.
Yeah,
but as you can tell by the background and the color scheme and the fact that JR is shilling video game stuff, that this is going to be a video game episode
Yep.
that we've been kind of teasing, but not a full video game episode that you're kind of expecting out of us, where we kind of land-based companies like Blizzard or
Ubisoft
or the company that made Cyberpunk.
I mean, they've been better.
It's gotten better, but go back into our old archives on YouTube and go back where JR just there really and truly, it's where the hashtag JR Soapbox came from, because he would just absolutely shit on Cyberpunk, and in his defense, it was dog shit from the get-go. But as you can tell today, the biggest story in the tech world the last 24 hours has been the highly touted Nintendo Direct that took place yesterday morning about the Nintendo Switch 2 and the long-awaited sequel to arguably one of the, probably, dare I say, pound for pound, the best-selling video game system, and could be pound for pound the best video game system that has been on the market in some time. Now, some will say, well, you're going to actually put the Nintendo Switch versus the PS5. No.
PS2.
The no. The Nintendo Switch 1 versus, it's gone up against, since the Switch has been out, which I think was 2018, I think it was.
Yeah, it is. I see. Yeah.
It's gone up against the PS5, the PS4, and I think maybe even gone up against the PS3.
Yep. Outdone them.
And it's outdone them, yeah.
Because, it's quite literally going against
the same. You can't.
Go ahead.
Well, I was just saying is that you can't compare, like people go like, I've heard people say before, like, how are you going to compare the Switch to even the PS2? Well, it's not the same thing. It's like back in the day, you didn't compare the Nintendo 64 to directly against the Sega Genesis. They were two completely different kinds of systems, but because they also were very they were for different audiences, and they were for different kinds of games. That's why you say pound for pound. Could Mike Tyson beat Floyd Mayweather? No, but pound for pound, Floyd Money Mayweather was probably could be argued to be that could be one of the best boxers to ever play.
Good point. Great point. I will say though, the Switch is doing such freaking bang busters that is actually being compared to the because I think I forget the official numbers for like how much the PS2 sold. It is the most selling console of all time. The most selling.
Oh, absolutely.
Like the most selling, I guess, big old box console. The biggest selling console of all time, I think, still is the Nintendo console. It's like one of the handhelds. I forgot which one exactly, but it's compared, like the Switch is compared to the PS2. Like you can't take. For me personally, I can't take anything away from that. Like the Switch 2 is bang busters, man. It's been selling like bang busters, and like it's great for them. It's great for specifically Nintendo because of how the going from the Wii U, right, number 2, that was a misstep in comparison to the Wii, but like how they went from like, all right, cool, we'll go lesser, and we won't do the full step of like graphical stuff like the PS4 at the time or the PS3 at the time, the PS, one of those. Well, I forget what generation it was, like maybe the PS4 at the time, and then the Xbox at the time. But like we're just gonna go midway. But like, and so they had the Switch, and like freaking the best shit. Good.
The Nintendo Switch came out on March 3rd, 2017, and competed head-to-head against Sony's PlayStation 4 and Xbox and Microsoft's Xbox One. It also competed against, also competes with the 9th generation consoles, the PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X and S. Now, I'd have to look and see the PlayStation 5. We'll just do Sony just by itself. The PlayStation 5 launched in November of 2020. No, 2025. Oh, that's right. That's right. It was announced as a successor to the PlayStation 4 in April of 2019. Launched November 12th, 20. So it launched during COVID.
Yep.
The PS5 launched during COVID. Now, here's the thing. The PlayStation 3 was launched in North America on November 17th, 2006, was
Yeah.
officially discontinued in 2015.
Yep.
Okay. Then the PS4
2014
was launched in North America on November 15th, 2013.
Okay.
So 4 years prior, the Wii U launched in released in late 2012. It was the successor to the Wii, which released, I believe, in 2006.
Yep.
I remember I worked for Best Buy at the time, and that launch was crazy.
Mm-hmm.
This tells you everything you need to know about Nintendo. I worked for Best Buy for the launch of the PlayStation 3, the Xbox 360, the PlayStation 3, and the Nintendo Wii.
Mm-hmm.
The Wii was pandemonium. Okay. We're talking Tickle Me Elmo level hysteria. People waiting around the block at 5 o'clock in the morning. And not just JR and I. No, our moms, our dads, our uncles, our Theos and Theas, our grandmas, everyone, little Johnny that was 4 years old, saving up all of his allowance. Everybody was waiting on the corner. Okay. Mm-hmm. The Xbox 360, you could walk in on a Tuesday at 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock when the store opened and go like, can I have a 360? Like, okay, yeah, the line's right over there. It just started. And it was just JR and I. It was that generation. It was the Gen Xers.
Yeah.
Okay. The Wii crossed boundaries. And then you had the Wii U. Nintendo took a TO. They took one on the chin. The Wii U was not successful. And then the Switch came out. And people were like, it was not I think people our generation bashed on it because they're like, oh, it's the Nintendo, it's the PlayStation Vita.
Yeah. It was a half step. I'll say that. Yeah. It was a half step in comparison to like what they wanted to do.
And then people started to look at it and go like, it's not trying to be the PlayStation. Yeah. It's the Nintendo of this generation in your hand. Oh, by the way, you can also plug it into your television.
Yeah,
and people went, oh shit.
It blew people's minds. Just like, for what I can recall too, you have to also understand the context of like, Nintendo is very much Japan, right? And what I mean by that is that Japan, they stopped doing like console gaming like heavily for a while. All they've been doing in Japan has been mobile. That's their market, mobile. And so a lot of the times you'll see people out and about with mobile games. You still would have your PCs, your PlayStations would sell a little bit more so now and then, but like, as in a territory, you'd only see like, 10K PS5 sold or something like that in comparison to like the numbers you have from like the US or UK. And so Nintendo saw the market. They knew the market, and they've always been a handheld like game company that's had a huge plethora of success in that court. And so, I always think back to like the DS and the Game Boy and the Game Boy Colors and like how those games just like you get a Pokemon game on a Wii, on a handheld, next gen of the time, like Switch. Yeah, it's gonna sell like gangbusters. And I feel like what they went from like the Wii U with that little weird ass freaking big old controller that's kind of like a screen, right? And like, oh wait, let's make it smaller and let's be able to put that, and you can go wherever you want to go with it and play your games like that. This is basically a bigger handheld, right? And they ran with it and they got it because that was the market of a lot of people in Japan. It's like, yeah, we were out and about, and it's crazy how that kind of just pivot off this whole thing. It's a longer and like a lot more long-winded discussion of like, oh, the feel of Western developers versus Japanese developers, or specifically just Nintendo, where like, oh no, we can set the market because this is us. We're gonna make a handheld that's next gen, and you're gonna make your game. Want to make your game port to it because we are gonna be the next freaking hot selling commodity for the next 7 years, and they have, which is insane to me. But yeah, your thoughts on that, my friend?
Well, here's the other thing too: is like compare and contrast. It's never Nintendo has never tried to be. Let's put it, here's a case point.
Yep.
Nintendo, and I grew up. I had an NES. I had an SNES. I had two different Nintendo 64s. I had an OG Nintendo 64, got it for Christmas, Gen 1, and then I had the purple translucent one that I bought when I was in college. That should tell everything to know. I had one as a kid, played Mario Kart 64 with my dad.
Mm-hmm.
And then in college, I went, forget the Sony PlayStation, forget this Microsoft Xbox thing, forget the Dreamcast, which I till this day say the Dreamcast was a hot piece of garbage. The PlayStation one, and I said, I bought a 64. I wanted a 64 because a couple of reasons. Number one, dude, and you know the answer to this, dude. WWF No Mercy.
No Mercy. I thought you were gonna go GoldenEye, which I would have been okay with that too.
GoldenEye, I already had.
Okay.
But in college, it was No Mercy, and you can't. And we'll talk in the coming weeks. We will talk about 2K25 because WWE 2K25 right now is gaining a lot of traction as being the best wrestling video game since Raw versus SmackDown. And I thought that 2K24 was pretty good. I had it. I put a lot of hours on 2K24. But 2K25, they're saying, is pound for pound one of the best games. I still say No Mercy, and that's why it made me want to buy 64. Now, could it be a price thing? Could it be that the games that were on the PlayStation at the time didn't really interest me? I wasn't into Grand Theft Auto yet. And as a kid, the Sega Genesis just didn't intrigue me. I would rather play Zelda. I'd rather play Mario. I'd rather play those games than play Echo the Dolphin, Sonic the Hedgehog. But this should tell you everything you need to know about Nintendo versus Sega. JR, correct me if I'm wrong. Who owns Sega?
Come on now.
Although Nintendo. That would be Nintendo.
Yeah, although those catchphrases are funny as hell, though. Sega does what Nintendo don't. I remember those freaking catch lines.
Oh yeah, that was the beginning of viral marketing. It was the predecessor to Apple versus PC that we saw in the early 2000s. But this is, like I said, everything you know. You waited it out, and the generations spoke. Nintendo ruled out, and Nintendo bought out their competition. They own the IPs. And now you can play the Sega Genesis, by the way, on the Nintendo Switch.
Did they? No, I just for a quick.
They own the IP.
Nintendo? I thought it was
Nintendo
still owned by
Sega,
but like they do.
I'm almost positive that Nintendo owns the IPs. That's why you have like Sonic and it could be a co-own. You're right. It could be a co-own, but I think Nintendo has the rights to the IPs. Meaning Sonic the Hedgehog, being able to, they might, there's some legalese to it, but anyways, nonetheless,
I will say this, sorry to cut you off, but they do not own Sega, but they've owned them in the sense of like, well, you have to work with us now. They don't.
It's a mutual.
They could. Because Nintendo is like the number one market for like games, but like
they lease the IP. That's the phrase I was looking for. They probably lease the IP from Sega. So I look at it this way. Okay, I get it. Okay, you can't compare hardware to hardware. The only time you could go legit hardware to hardware was the NES versus the Atari. The NES was far superior in my opinion than the Atari. The PlayStation or Sega versus like the Super Nintendo and Nintendo 64. Sega was better. or graphics wise, apples to apples, Sega. You could do much. You could do so much more with a CD. You were limited to what do they call them?
The ROMs. Oh yeah, the cartridges. Yeah,
cartridge gaming. You were limited to cartridge gaming.
Yeah.
Okay. The Nintendo 64 versus the PlayStation. PlayStation smoked them. Nintendo 64 versus graphics wise and stuff like that. Nintendo 64 versus the Dreamcast. Nintendo 64 versus the original Xbox. Nintendo 64 versus the PlayStation 2.
Yeah.
Are you noticing anything, people? Is Nintendo went head to head with one gaming system, the N64, against 2 generations of Sony PlayStations. They went up against Microsoft. They went up against the Dreamcast, which I believe Dreamcast was Sega. So the N64 went up against 2 Sega systems, 2 Sony systems, and realistically defeated the upstart video game system created by the richest man on the planet at the time, Bill Gates. So Nintendo says, okay, cool. They're the legitimately, they are the tortoise in the hare.
Yeah.
Not going to lie. Sega, Microsoft, and Sony all, quote unquote, had faster systems.
Yeah.
But the tortoise continued to win out and out and out. And now we're here in 2025, and we're talking about the Nintendo Switch 2. And it puts into perspective, JR, is that 2017, March of 2017 is when the Switch 1 launched. So you're talking about almost 10 years later. So about 8 years later to the day, they announced the Switch 2 is coming out in June. So we do have that. We'll put that up on the stage. So we have right there, June 5th, 2025. There is the Switch for those who want to take a look at what it is. And again, this should tell you everything you need to know about the Switch as well. What major console system has been able to put a console level system into a mobile device? No one. The closest was the PlayStation Vita.
Yeah.
And it's still compare and contrast. Yeah. So again, Nintendo does what Nintendo does. They don't try to reinvent the wheel, so to speak. And
it's definitely going to be interesting comment, because there has been there has been now in the more recent years this aspect of they're trying to make PC gaming more like handheld. I can't necessarily call it on the same level in the sense of Nintendo, right? Because I forgot the names of the names escape me at the moment, but what either I think the Steam Deck, right? What they're trying to do is it's basically a handheld PC, right? It's a much more updated handheld PC where you're trying to play your Steam games on the go, and that's fine. That's cool. We've done this multiple times in the sense of just PC, PSP gaming and Nintendo Switch now at this point. But there's a lot of hoops when it comes to using different apps, right? For me, in my case, I could always just view I view the Steam Deck no better than a phone, right? A much more updated phone. But I don't know if you make calls or not. I really don't. I don't have necessarily a Steam Deck or the Asus or the other one that was called for it, where they're trying to do the exact same things where you're just playing video games on the go. But I can just see that the biggest interpretation of that is from Nintendo with, again, the Switch and the Switch 2, where this is the OG. The Nintendo is going to be the OG to show you how it's done right. And I know we'll get into a lot of the features and a lot of the things, and even some of the cons. And I do have quite a few of the cons on the Switch. We're gonna see how it's done, gaming on the go. You're gonna see how the connectivity is gonna be done. Hopefully, we're gonna see how how just simple shit I know this is a feature. I'm gonna say it out loud now, but you've seen the Direct, right, Kevin?
Yes.
the simple stuff like, oh, if everyone has a has a Switch 2 for themselves as well, and you have a 4-player game, and only one of you has a 4-player game, you can connect that game to 3 other people and play that together. Like that baffles the freak out of me. Like what?
Yeah, we are living in this day and age of when taking you back to LAN parties where everyone would bring before there was where high definition or high speed internet was readily available to everyone and their mother.
Yeah.
Everyone would come over to a house and they would daisy chain, and daisy chain means you just connect all the systems together.
Xbox One.
And you'd play what's called a LAN party, local area network. So you all use the same network to play against each other. But even then, like say for example, we used to do this at Best Buy.
Yeah.
We would play Halo.
Halo 1 and 2.
And we would have LAN parties there in the store. And
you need 4 different TVs.
Yeah, you play 4 different TVs. But here's the thing: you all had to have a copy of Halo.
Yeah,
you all had to have a copy of the game. You couldn't just, like JR said, like if I were the host, it's not like I go, "Hey guys, I got this. Put a copy of Halo 2 in my Xbox."
Yeah,
and then go like, "Hey, I got this," and and share it to everybody. No, everyone had to have a copy of the game. What Jared's talking about is like say JR, myself, his sister, and my girlfriend came over and say we're all going to play Mario Kart, or we're all going to play Mario Kart World, which is going to be the big launch day game, which we'll get to in a second. I could just go like, when we all have Switch 2s, okay, and mind you, and we'll get to the price point and whatnot, you all should technically have
Mario Kart, possibly.
Mario Kart. You should all have Mario Kart anyways. But to say everyone forgot this, I can go, yo, guys, I got you.
Yeah.
And I can put that on my Switch.
And we just
use game share and share with little to no lag.
It's insane.
My game to 3 other systems.
It's like one of those things where it's like, it's insane. Like you bring, you bring Mario Kart World. I bring Uno. Another person brings whatever other 4-player game. Another person brings like Mario Party, right? Stuff like that's insane. It's just one of those things now where it's like, it's a level of connectivity where yes, it's geared towards people that you want to have your digital copies, right? And it's pushing more towards a digital world and a physical free world, which that has its own, that's its own different type of future. But like just the level of comfortability, the level of like, just like, oh, you don't really think about it. Oh, someone could bring whatever have you game, and we can all just like airdrop it into each other's switches for a brief moment, right? For a brief moment in time. And we're just gonna be playing. We're gonna have fun, and that's just that right there. Even though how simple that sounds, is really like, I'm not gonna say game breaking, but like that changes shit. That really does, man. This is this type of stuff that you don't think about, but when you do, like, why isn't everyone doing this? Like seriously, why isn't everyone doing this? And so it's always on Nintendo. And the one thing that I really do applaud Nintendo on is like, they're very player focused. That's the one thing I do give them applause on, right? They've always been very, what does the player think about? What is the end user? How is their experience going to be? And yes, throughout the years, there have definitely been some cases where like, okay, they're against, in some certain case, they're definitely against the user here or there, or the consumer here or there. They can be anti-consumer at times, but like here, stuff like this, it definitely is going to ease in a lot of people to not, kind of bulk at the overall possible MSRP of the future.
Yeah,
that's a hint there. But like just stuff like that, it's cool. That's really, really cool.
So let's go over the basic stats for the game system. As you have the information there. The next evolution of Nintendo game system is here. Bring games life with a larger 1080p screen or connect to your TV for 4K resolution, support of HDR, and frame rates up to 120 frames per second. That is insane for a handheld game. Okay, snap the new Joy-Con 2 controllers into place with the magnetic connectors. The connections are the connector on the system is metal. The magnet is in the controller.
Yep.
TV and game must be compatible with 4K resolution. Frame rates are capped at 60 frames per second for 4K.
Yep.
I shoot when I can on my phone. Yeah. When I can, I try to shoot in 4K. And the phone, this right here, #1 selling video camera in the world. But you're not missing much.
Yeah.
On being able to play above 60 games per second. I'm sorry, 60 frames per second on 4K. That's pretty cap from what I understand.
Yeah.
And by the way, you can only play 4K if you dock it and have a compatible 4K TV, which most TVs nowadays are.
Yeah.
I mean, that system is just sexy as hell, by the way. Super thin.
Here's my
current OLED switch.
Yeah. Which is for some little more. Yeah.
How thick that is. Look at the pictures of that. That thing is so thin.
Yeah, just for some current stats on it too. Is like some of the small stuff. It does come. Funny enough, I thought they're gonna go with OLED. They're going with the LED screen, so it's not an OLED. It's an LED, but was it a?
Because they'll have the OLED Switch 2 coming out in about a year.
Probably. It's a 79-inch LCD screen at 1080p, capable of 120 hertz refresh rate. That's insane. It will come with they're upgrading the memory card from micro SD to a micro SD Express from 32 gigabytes to 256. That's really good. What else comes with it? The HDMI cable you would need for 4K gaming for everyone is your typical 2.0 HDMI cable, but if you want to do 120 hertz gaming, you need 2.1. And I think that will come with the Switch 2. I don't recall if it came with the PS5 and the Xbox One for the current generation. I forgot. I think I had to buy mine. Was it
an HDMI cable?
Yeah, the HDMI 2.1. So
no, I think when I got my PlayStation 5, I think the HDMI cable was sold separately.
Yeah. So it's just basically an upgraded version of like, oh, you can have more, pixels, blah blah, 4K, 120 hertz gaming type setup. And so I had to buy mine. I think hopefully it comes standard with the Switch. It doesn't necessarily need to do 4K 120, but at least somewhere in the ballpark of that. That'd be great for them.
Yeah, I'm looking to see, as you can see, I'm scrolling through on the screen. I'm trying to see what all comes in the box.
Oh yeah, I could tell you. It's just basically it comes with a Joy-Con controller, Joy-Con 2 controller, grips and straps with it, the dock, the ultra high-speed HDMI cable. Again, that's probably the 2.1.
Okay,
HDMI cable. It comes with an AC adapter. It comes with a USB-C charging cable, which is great upgrade. USB-C. That's fast charging right there. As well as, let me see, a 256 micro SD storage express. And so I think that's for the most part what comes with it. If you buy the bundle, which is the Super Mario Kart World bundle, instead of $449, and you'll be the base Switch is $449 USD. If you buy with the bundle, it's $500 USD.
So $50 more, you're getting a game. By the way, the game will retail for $80. So you're saving $30.
You're saving $30, but at the same time, we shouldn't be paying $80. Be real. Even if the game is worth it,
they can.
Yeah. So that's my problem inherently. We're already paying way too damn much for games as is. $70 is way too much for a game.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna say that straight up. It's way too damn much. I don't care if the game's gonna be. Well, I will only care if the game is the greatest game of all time for $70.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Let's talk about this game, by the way.
Yeah.
So we're talking about Mario Kart World.
Yeah.
It's going to be available on launch day.
Yep.
Some of the key features, I think the biggest one is the field. I think was it 24 players.
Yeah, 24
will be in the field.
It's like
you can
a great upgrade. It's a huge
you can go off roading. There's kind of you can go beyond the racetrack. Multiple different modes. Yeah, Burn Rubber, and he did 24 driver races.
Yeah. A lot of this comes
insane.
from like again, and here is the difference. It's gonna sound like a negative Nancy in this case, right? But I do want to give Nintendo their props, but like it just feels like for me, they're finally catching up with the modern day, because we've had other games. Granted, I'm not gonna say they were worse, but like let's say again, Ubisoft with their past driving games, you could do this stuff already. Where I don't know if they did 24 players, but like again, they don't have Ubisoft doesn't have an established franchise like Mario. So you're doing it with that cast, but you could definitely play in the huge world.
My buddy and I used to play NASCAR, the EA Sports NASCAR years ago.
Old school,
and when as it evolved, I got into playing online.
Yep.
Granted, now you're talking 15 years ago, and high speed internet and frame rates and everything has changed. But you're talking about NASCAR. If you played a full field NASCAR race, NASCAR, I believe, had a full race field was 40 cars, I think. Okay, so you're talking about, and it would constantly bog down. You'd see cars glitching, and the frame, the refresh rate was so bad. So, and I get it; it's different day and age. So Nintendo realizes they take the lesser of two evils. They know their audience. Okay, you and I have patience for lag. Okay, a 10-year-old doesn't have patience for lag, and so playing Mario Kart versus playing a Formula One game or NASCAR or Indy or Forza or whatever racing game there is, we have patience and we know what to expect. Whereas opposed to a 10-year-old, it's going to go like, why is Diddy Kong, like jumping all over the place like he's Princess Penelope or whatever it is from freaking Candy Crush or whatever the game that from Wreck-It Ralph.
Yeah. No. I just you giving me like some PTSD of like, oh man, these kids they have no freaking clue what rubber banding is.
They have no clue.
They barely had it. Like, don't get me wrong, for those who played Mario Kart on the Switch, there is some level of rubber banding there, right? But that's because again, Nintendo has yet to catch up with the modern day in the sense of like updating their lands, not their net code and all that stuff, but like 24 players is interesting. And I definitely want to see how that's going to be on for like the first day of it. Bro, we've been talking about we've been talking about like how terrible some of these first day launches of like some of these other studios for their video games were before. But back in the day, I think we talked about like Diablo 3 and like some of the games were like you just can't get online. Helldivers too, bro. How is it going to be for Nintendo when they're trying to do 24?
So they haven't said yet if the online, because it sounds like right now you can only play head to head.
Okay.
Which right now they advertise it in the direct that head to head was a cap of 4 players.
Okay.
So it may be that you're only going to be required to play against 4 players, and then they have 20 NPCs. Or
interesting.
Or 20 bots.
No.
I want to say too, we got this the game chat open access period is going to be for 1 year. They're going to allow you free access. Well, I should say until March 31st, 2026. So a little less than a year. they're going to allow you free access to the chat feature, which, by the way, is coming to the Nintendo Switch. They're adding, people were asking what the C button was. They are adding a chat feature to the system. You can kind of see it there. Very Discord-esque
very Discord-esque
setup for right there. You can see, if you're watching this, you can see the screen there at the 4 streams there on the bottom. Very Discord, as JR pointed out. And you're probably wondering, well, JR, Kevin, how is that possible? Like, where do they have the chat? Well, there's a microphone on top of the Switch, which, by the way, you see the plug there in that picture?
Yep.
So, obviously, it will charge in the dock. So there's the USB-C. JR mentioned before, the USB-C that's on the bottom of the dock. That's been on the Switch since day one, is USB-C on the dock. There's now a USB-C port on the top. There are 3 ways to play the Nintendo Switch: handheld, dock, like you see there, or as they call it, the desktop mode. And desktop mode is what this guy right here is playing, where you have the little kickstand, and that's basically your screen. But people are going like, well, how do you play desktop mode and not charge it? Well, they've now added a USB port to the top. Which is kind of cool. Now, you're probably also looking like, well, Kevin, what is that thing next to the Switch in desktop mode? Is that a new microphone? No, better. The microphone is actually built into the top of the Switch. With ambient control. So if you're playing and you're talking and there's excess noise going about, it'll pick up. It's like a smart audio, very similar to a lot of our smartphones with earbuds and stuff like that. It'll pick up specific audio and knock down the rest of the ambient noise. That is not a microphone that you see there. That is the new aftermarket. That is the new Nintendo Switch accessory. That's the new Nintendo Switch camera. Because you can, part of your live stream, you see there the live characters, you can actually
live stream basically yourself.
Live stream base yourself. Before anybody asks, no, they have not said anything about streaming to Twitch or directly from the device. You still would have to dock it, use an aftermarket like OBS system, and whatnot. So,
which is just to kind of follow that Jason rabbit down the road a little bit. It's interesting because of how, like, Nintendo before, I don't know, as of the last year or so, they've been very hesitant or very against the idea of streaming their stuff, right? Or like, if you do stream their games, right, they're taking all the revenue. They're taking all of it, right? And so that I don't know how anyone's going to actually, want to stream all of this specifically for, like, stream on full games. They've had this exact same mindset too when it comes to, like, putting out YouTube videos as well for people who make who make live streams or gameplays of Nintendo games. They do the exact same thing. They've been doing this for quite a while. And granted, it wasn't necessarily just Nintendo. It could have been too in other aspects of Japan lifestyle. It's very much a Japanese thing, because it wasn't just for the video games, but with other IPs as well. I know that Koei Tecmo specifically and other, like, shonen creators, that not creators, but like the bigger, like, parent companies, they've had some really, they bucked some people, some YouTubers and influencers on their like their streams or other YouTube videos where they're like we call it, they are reviewing, like, One Piece or like Berserk, all of them, right? Big shout out to those guys. And so it's not necessarily it's not necessarily a new thing, but for Nintendo to not want to care, I guess, or to want to, what's we're looking for? It's not a new thing for Nintendo if they wanted to just, I don't know, just make it themselves, I guess. I don't know. I don't know. It's just a picture. It's just a different thing. I guess that's the word I'm looking for, man. So I don't know. We will see. We'll just see how this goes. It's definitely a different time. It is definitely a different Nintendo now, when in comparison to where it was even like let's say 5 6 years ago, because they've also had ideas or they've also had trouble with their Pokemon stuff before, their Pokemon games, and how that's been going for Twitch streamers, and that has been going for like other YouTube streamers. So this whole aspect of like wanting to have a camera, a YouTube stuff, not YouTube stuff, like streaming stuff, right? We'll see how that goes with Nintendo. We don't really, Nintendo in itself hasn't really been streamer friendly unless it's a full on, it's a full on Nintendo stream, a Nintendo ad stream per se. So we'll see how
I've
that
had no
goes.
problem. I've done I did some streaming on Twitch and whatnot back when we first started the podcast and started getting into Twitch and whatnot. And so yeah, we'll see. I'd be kind of curious as if at some point they do add the ability to stream to Twitch or whatnot. So
it looks great. I mean, like this is very much a very stream friendly Nintendo product. In comparison to what we've had with them before. This is very stream friendly. I would not be surprised if there will be a Twitch app, right? You can directly link to it if it comes out with this in this iteration. But yeah, it would hey, who knows? Maybe Nintendo just changed. Maybe Nintendo again is going to come with the times and try to modernize in this sense as well. So here's hoping, man.
So yeah, they have the game chat button, which is the new button on the bottom of the right hand side of the Joy-Con. Yep. There's a closer look to some of the pictures with the camera and the dock. As you can tell, quite a bit bigger screen. Like I said, the controllers are magnetic. Bigger screen, 7.9-inch screen. Play with the greatest detail, clarity, thanks to a high definition LCD screen featuring support for HDR, VR, and 120 frames per second. We mentioned that before. The new dock connect the Nintendo Switch dock to a TV. And step in high resolution. So we mentioned it will be 4K. I mean, look at the video. Obviously, I know there's a lot of things say, well, it's not real gameplay, but it's pretty damn close.
Looks great. Like if you also too, I kind of want to talk about their new like Pro S controller, and they're just updating basically, right? Like it's it's basically the like it's in line of like the Pro controllers from like the Xbox series as well as the PlayStation controller. If for our audio listeners, I'm holding up the PlayStation Edge controller. The great thing is, of course, the back paddles.
Yes, they are adding
the AMR, the back paddles, man. So they've had that. They're not necessarily paddles. They're like just more so buttons on the Pro controller for the Switch 2. But overall, man, it's great. Like it's good for them. I won't see how like the controller 2 is very reminiscent to like the Pro controller 2 is very reminiscent of like a PlayStation controller too. So
that's also huge right there. The
what are we saying?
Block, the power block right there. It used to be Nintendo. It was a proprietary. You had to carry around the cord and the block, because the cord and block together. I'll show it to you. I think I've got one right here. So this is the current Nintendo Switch brick. It's huge. That's what she said. And it's connected together. You can't disconnect it. So if you look at that one, the one in the screen, it's very reminiscent to that of a typical USB-C 10-watt brick that most smart devices, cell phones, tablets will use. Now, I will say this, and this is not just a shill for Nintendo. This is someone who learned his lesson and almost bricked his original Nintendo. Do not use third-party cords or docks with your Switch. You will brick it. Okay. I got lucky, and I somehow, some way, I was able to fix my Switch. It was a disaster for about 48 hours. So do not use aftermarket docks. Do not use non-Nintendo USB cords. Use the cords that come with it. I can't sit there and justify all the time, even though I'm a brand loyalist. So I do have a track record there, but I'm telling you right now, when it comes to the USB cords, just use Nintendo. That's why right now, like, it'll be so much easier with the Switch 2 to carry stuff. But like right here, if it doesn't say Nintendo on it, I'm not plugging it into my Switch. Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, not sorry. I will shill on that. So that's kind of cool. So you can detach the cord and the brick. Let's see what else we got. I was trying to get right there. There's a picture. It snaps right on. So right now, the Switch, for those who don't know, you have a little release button right here, and it slides off. Kind of nice. And it's pretty cool that they do. And the same thing with the handheld controller that it comes with, the little what do you call it, the Joy-Con thing. This one just snaps right on. It's super cool. And that feature, I saw that. Now this is cool.
Yeah.
This because not only now is the Nintendo Switch going after, not only do they go after mobile gaming, and not only are they going after console gaming, they are now trying to go after PC gaming, because you can now take your Joy-Con and turn it into a mouse.
Yeah.
This is pretty cool.
Yeah. It's pretty big. Like at first, like I had to think about this too when I first saw this, right? I thought it was like, oh, cool, it's a cool gimmick, right? But now, like, really thinking about it and seeing the opportunity it can really, put out there for not just, Nintendo, but for basically PC games in general too, where they can possibly put their stuff on Nintendo. Granted, of course, you have to get through the other hoops, in order to get your game on Nintendo. And that's a whole different other topic conversation. But now it's like, this is again your version of like a Steam Deck. Now you can put out. Will you have the same level of game fidelity as you would probably get from Steam Deck? We don't know. We really don't know. We don't really know in that sense. But like, when you have a Steam Deck, it's just basically like a bigger, it's kind of like your Wii, your Switch, where like you're using the controls on the sides. In this case, granted, I want to see how this performs, keep on a mouse, but damn, it's the closest thing you'd probably get to having something aside from you opening up your laptop or whatever have you and playing on mouse right there, mouse keyboard there. This is actually much more of a cleaner setup, and this does really put up the opportunity of like, oh, if you want to play like, let's say, Cyberpunk 2077, the newest edition of it with keyboard and mouse, or with at least at this point, with mouse, you can with the Wii. If you wanted to play, or the Switch, Switch 2. If you wanted to play a supposedly exclusive game that's only on PC, or the developers wants to only put it out on PC, but hey, they do this now on Switch 2, let's port it over. You could do that now. And the only thing I will probably say is how the reliability on of course, the Switch with the Joy-Con 2 controllers as a mouse. It looks kind of weird, It's kind of, I don't know how I feel about it yet, but damn, like the opportunities now are tremendous in the sense of like, you can get a lot of people now that wanted to really buy, let's say, a Steam Deck or an Asus or whatever it was, and possibly just like, oh, let me just try to see if my games on PC or on my Steam can translate better on a Switch 2. Granted, again, Steam Decks, you'll have your own, you'll have a plethora of games and all that stuff, sure, but like, this is the closest thing, right, to like, other than buying a laptop, right? Other than buying a gaming laptop, this is the freaking closest thing. This is another level of like comfortability, another level of like, making your life, what's the word I'm looking for? Where you makes your life easier, right? I forgot the word. It's a term.
Convenient.
Sure, convenience, but like it's I guess your life better term. Ease of access, right? And it's just, for me, it was really cool. For for our audio listeners, man, thank you guys for supporting us for all this time. We're looking definitely at just the Joy-Con 2 and how people are gonna use it as a mouse, man. That's
It's
wild to me now. The applications for it, after the fact. So it's just crazy. But yeah, go ahead.
no, I was it just that was kind of cool, and I just I didn't know what to expect about it, and
It's
like I said, it's I don't, and to be honest, I don't think that they're actually coming after the PC gaming, because they're not. You could do so much
yeah,
more with a PC, but I think you're gonna get a little bit of the
a little bit of the crowd. I mean, I know we're gonna go into the games, the third party games that
yeah.
come with it, but like there's actually some. You're getting Call of Duty, which is crazy to me. You're getting, of course, Elden Ring. You're getting what was the other games? You're getting Borderlands, the new Borderlands.
Borderlands.
These are
Bring
first person
talking
shooter
about
games.
wrestling earlier.
Yeah,
2K is bringing NBA 2K and WWE 2K
yeah.
to the Nintendo Switch.
And so you go if you go to the first party stuff, right? We're thinking about the new Metroid that they're gonna have out, and you can play that as a mouse and keyboard. You use the other one as, like, I guess, your keyboard as WASD for your left hand, and your mouse pad right tracking hand. And so it's just I'm not gonna say that the opportunities are limitless, but damn, did they open up tremendously
yeah.
for possibly, if people want to have some level of, like, out the box, closest thing to possibly PC. This could
Yeah.
possibly be it, right? And I hear the other examples of, like, well, if you could do that on PlayStation and Xbox, yeah, you can, but I would have to buy a separate, again, mouse and keyboard for it. That's
Yeah.
another thing I gotta buy. Well, with this one, like, granted, it's kind of, the looks kind of weird, but again, it's Nintendo. It's kind of in their wheelhouse. It looks weird to hold, something like, a WASD as well as a mouse. It does look weird. Don't get me wrong. I don't know how it'll play. That's the biggest thing. But that's just something. That's just a hoop that I don't have to go across. I don't have to jump over, where I don't have to buy another, accessory here or there. I could just do it, and just the only thing that is out of place for me is, like, just my comfortability level with how I would use a Joy-Con 2 as a mouse.
Yeah. It's
Other than
definitely
that,
going to be. I mean, if you look at, again, this is what it looks like. I mean, this is pretty close to what, I mean, it's probably going to be a little bit bigger, but I mean, imagine using it, and it's a different design. I mean, I'm kind of torn around. It's a little different. But yeah, I'm intrigued to see how that works. Before I keep scrolling, it should be noted a lot of these features coming up, especially with the social media, or the chat feature. You will need to have a Nintendo Switch Online account, which you're going to need anyways, regardless. It should be kind of cool. This is again where companies like this can change the industry.
mm-hmm.
JR, I saw this through COVID. It started a little bit with the PlayStation 4, but really hit it big with the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series S and X. Was the biggest problem with new consoles would be people buying up and doing the reselling, the what do they call them,
the resellers, the freaking scalpers.
the scalpers.
Yeah.
This is what's kind of cool. Nintendo is allowing third party to sell their systems. You can buy it at Best Buy, you can buy it at GameStop, you can buy it at Target, you'll be able to buy it at Walmart.
Yep.
But to buy it from Nintendo Direct, okay, to buy it from Nintendo Direct, you will need to have a Nintendo Switch, a Nintendo online account for over a year.
Yep.
And you will have to have logged over 50 hours of Nintendo Switch gameplay.
Good.
Now, if you have a Switch, that's a piece of cake.
Yeah.
You cannot pre-order this game unless you have met those two requirements. Now, present company does meet those requirements, and I have submitted my interest in pre-ordering this system, which will be available for pre-order at some point this month in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah.
The moving right along, so there's the chat button we've talked about. There's a kind of a closer look to the camera. Pretty cool little camera. It is sold separately. I think the camera is probably going to be in the $30 to maybe $50 range, maybe less. I don't know. It is sold separately. Game chat is included with the Switch Online membership. Game chat open access period is until March 31st, 2026, rather. 3 different modes we mentioned: TV mode, tabletop mode, and handheld mode. There's pictures of it right there.
Sorry if I'm looking down I'm looking at my phone and supposedly LeBron's injured right now. We're playing the Golden State, so I'm like, shit. So Laker fan for her.
Yeah, I think I just saw something come across for ESPN as well.
Yeah, LeBron.
Oh no, it's my Trojans beating Villanova. This is pretty cool. 3D spatial audio. That's pretty cool. So if you want to play, they are going to make it a lot easier for you to play with Bluetooth headphones. I know, like right now with the Switch, I think there's a little bit of a delay. And I think the original Switch, even this one, still has the 3.5 millimeter headphone jack. I think the OLED is the only one that you can do Bluetooth headphones. The original Nintendo Switch one, I don't think you could do Bluetooth headphones. I think about it. But this one you could do. Let's see, 256 gigabytes of capacity with faster speed.
Yep. And also, just to make sure, just to make notice, you can't use the Switch 1 memory with the Switch 2. You have to have.
Yes, you can't. It's a completely different micro SD card.
It's the Express.
However, it's micro SD Express.
Yeah.
In addition to Nintendo Switch 2 exclusive games, Nintendo Switch 2 can play compatible Switch games.
Yep.
Both physical and digital Nintendo Switch games. Now they also said that they're. What's that?
That's about right. Yeah. You like that. That's what happened with the prior like games. I guess game console. You do that. You do that with PS4 onto the PS5. You do that Xbox 360 upwards to the Xbox One to Xbox Series X. And so this is kind of like in the line of like games being able to have basically like backwards compatibility. So great in that sense. Here's hoping that we don't fully push out physical gaming, but yeah. Good.
Just kind of looking through. Here we go. Games with startup issues on Switch 2. Let's see if there's any big hitters. Take a look. We'll take. Let's see. Do we see the biggest game on there? Nope. Don't see Animal Crossing. Final Fantasy.
Yep.
We'll have startup issues. And the biggest one, scrolling down to the P's, no Pokemon. So that's good.
Yeah.
That's going to be good. There's going to be no issues. Games that are playable but have some in-game compatibility issues. Probably going to be a similar list. Again, no Animal Crossing. And look and see if there's any Pokemon games, and it doesn't. I think a lot of your problem games are going to be those that are third party. They're non-Nintendo games. So let's see. Right there, Nintendo games, 122 games, no issues found during basic compatibility.
Yeah.
So less than 1% of the games are not compatible at all. Looks like all of the Nintendo games are going to work with the Switch 2. So that's good for
that end. Yeah.
A lot of that's good for a lot of the games. Let's see here. Let's keep on scrolling.
I think that kind of covers it for the most part, man. Other than like some of the
here's a look at the controller that JR was talking about earlier.
Yeah.
There are the back bumpers that they're finally adding.
That's interesting. Interesting design choice, I will say. Usually be just paddles, but then they wanted to make it more flush with the actual controller itself.
Yeah, Nintendo's very clean on their design.
It's gonna be interesting in my end because, like, you know, we're gonna wait and see, like, you know, your middle fingers or like your ring fingers, you know, tend to have a lot. You know, we as humans are gonna have a lot of dead skin in general. Yeah. And so how is that gonna look at, you know, when you're worried about someone who has their Pro controller for up to maybe 6 months to a year now? See how that's gonna be, how cleaning that's gonna be. Granted, you know, it's been a hot minute since I fully cleaned my Pro controller for my PS5, but I do clean it at least. And it tell you right now, you know, just like dust and dead skin definitely gets into the cracks of your controller, specifically your face buttons. So having it flush behind it is going to be interesting how people are going to try to take care of that. But hey,
so it will add the C button for the communication, for game chat, audio jack, 3.5 millimeter, of course, though. They should be adding Bluetooth to the Switch. Here's a Joy-Con. That, by the way, the Pro controller retails for $79.99. It's pretty on par for the Pro controllers right now on the Switch. Yeah. Left and right Joy-Con controllers, $90. That's pretty on par for startup. I guarantee they'll drop down to about $80. They'll drop down about $10 probably in about a year or so. Yeah. The Joy-Con to charging grip. That's kind of cool. Charging grip.
Interesting.
See, attach the Joy-Con 2 controllers to the Joy-Con charging grip to use as a classic style controller or any charging station with the. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Neat. Okay. I don't think you could do that. No, you can't. Hold on a second.
No, I don't think I've seen that one specifically for Switch ones.
No, they don't. Here I got a Switch 2
okay.
control right here. Negative Ghost Rider.
All right.
No, wait, hold on. What's that? Nope, that's just a little thing. So yeah, no.
Hey, all right, that's $35 for it. It's interesting seeing these. Those are Joy-Con strips, $12. Okay, 2 straps. The Joy-Con wheel
setup 2. That's not a good deal. And I will say this: the wheels, the Nintendo branded wheels for Mario Kart and the driving games are far superior to that of the third party games. So for a pair for $20, that's not bad, and they do look to be an upgrade to the current Switch 1, which I believe don't even have the colors on them. They're just plain white, I think. That's the on-brand ones, the Nintendo ones. The aftermarket, I think you can get different colors. Here's the Switch camera, $50. They have not said yet if aftermarket cameras will be able to.
I don't think so.
So because you can find a cheaper camera than this one, but they may have kind of priced themselves into a
that too. And like knowing Nintendo, right? They're just as proprietary with they're just as protective with their proprietary stuff as, like, I would say Apple is, or like so
you can buy an aftermarket dock, which you'll probably see a lot of people do, to have if they have got multiple rooms. This has always been kind of the shocker, but at the same time, I don't think the current OLED dock. Well, the OLED dock might, but I don't think the Gen 1 Switch dock dock by itself had a power setup there. By the way, there's a look at that brick. That's not bad sizing.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know, Jared, did they mention this at all? Is there a Ethernet port on the dock? Now, on the OLED dock, only the Nintendo Switch 1 OLED edition. So this one that I've got, the dock that it comes with has the ability to plug in Cat 6. It has an Ethernet port on it. Adding extra, let's see, this basically the TV or a big screen gaming action, Nintendo Switch dock, ECD adapter, USB-C. So that'll be a question that'll come up. They don't show a picture of the dock, so we'll follow that. I will say this is kind of cool. The case, I saw someone use. I think Nintendo showed in their retail store in New York. They showed this. It's actually not a bad little case. So it's just designed probably to bring the system, and maybe some games in like the sleeve. $35. That's not bad. This is pretty cool. On brand, all-in-one carrying case where you can actually carry the dock. So you've got room for the dock, the system, the Joy-Cons. It looks like one of those the charging things. The cord up here, and you have a room for this right here. I may be buying one of those. That's not bad for $80.
Okay.
So
this
there's a place for 30 and
micro SD cards are separate.
Yeah, so they're sold separately. I think someone said that you could get a really good micro SD Express on Amazon for you get a terabyte for $200, which I know it's $200, but that's, I mean, you're going to store games for days.
Yeah.
Let's see. Accessory.
I mean, other than that, like the games are still plentiful because like it's just you're gonna have a lot of Switch games. This was the same conversation of like, would you play on your PS5 when they first came out? You have a lot of PS4 games being able to play on it. It'll be basically the exact same thing with the Switch 1 to Switch 2 jump, where you can play a lot of older games for your Switch, and a lot of the games that are coming out now still for your Switch. And we don't necessarily know if it's the full-on upgrade from Switch 1 to Switch 2 with some of these games. I know that there is that initial like $10 bump up if you want to, or I think it was more for the upgrade packs here, where I don't necessarily know the pricing for it, right? There you go. There's what you have on it, but we don't know. I don't know the particular price for it. So let's say if you want to play an updated version of Tears of the Kingdom or the first Breath of the Wild, and that'll be great to play because those games deserve to be played on a better. Those games deserve to definitely be played with its fullest extent of the vision of it, and higher fidelity and higher frame rates. That's just overall great. I can't wait for that. But overall, man, it's nothing too crazy out of the ordinary for like if you want to pay a little bit more for the updated version of it. You saw the same thing with PlayStation
don't think
5.
they've given a price point, have they yet?
I mean,
so this was
the PS5 version was like $10 more, right?
And I think that's kind of more or less about the price point that they're saying right now was about a $10 upgrade. And so let's take a look at this Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. That'll be on launch day. There will be a Switch 2 version or a upgrade, faster frame rates and resolution, faster load times, HDR support, the support your Zelda Notes game-specific service via Nintendo Switch app. That's supposed to be like just an ability to get around some of the maps a lot easier. Tears of the Kingdom, which by the way I still have not beat. Same thing. Super Mario Party, Kirby. This is kind of cool. A lot of people a lot of people were worried that Pokemon Legends ZA was going to be a Nintendo Switch 2 exclusive. This is set for holiday 2025. So it will be available for the Nintendo Switch 1 with a Switch 2 edition upgrade. And based on some of the game engine and the graphics, it looks like it's going to be a lot more fun to play on the Switch 2, but don't necessarily. So good news is it does not look like, as of right now, that Pokemon Legends ZA will be a place or a Nintendo Switch 2 exclusive. It will have an upgrade, though. So if you decide to buy the Switch 1 version, you can buy the upgrade for the Switch 2.
Metroid
and then Metroid, not going to lie, I saw some of the gameplay on this game. Cool. But if you're a fan of the franchise, I was never a big fan of the franchise. I played the original game back on the NES and wasn't super thrilled. It never caught my.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those games where it's like if you haven't been a fan of it, you'll be hard pressed to kind of get into the franchise. Now, I can always be wrong in that sense. Like there are gonna be people that are like gonna resonate towards it because like Metroidvania or the actual like category subgenre of the game will always be. But Metroidvania has always been a thing. If you haven't necessarily been in the Metroid franchise, you'll be kind of, I'm not gonna say it's a steep learning curve, but then there is definitely a learning curve there. Go ahead and continue to talk, bro. At 1 second, someone's calling me at the moment, so 1 second, I'll be back.
No problem. One of the other things that's been kind of cool, we mentioned before that you can play the Sega Genesis on the Switch. Right now, the Nintendo legacy systems that are available on the Nintendo Switch. I'll take a look at. Actually, I'll load up my Switch right now, and I will tell you. Right now, you can play the Game Boy Advance, the Game Boy, the Super Nintendo, the Nintendo, and the Sega Genesis, and the Nintendo 64. The other systems that are coming soon. I know people are calling for the Wii, but before you get to the Wii, you have to have the GameCube. So the GameCube will be a Nintendo Switch 2 exclusive. And let's see here. Yeah, so Nintendo Switch, the Nintendo GameCube will be coming to the Switch 2. That will be exclusive for the game for the Switch 2, and you can download the classic GameCube control. Excuse me, goodness gracious! So you'll be able to play.
It looks no different, honestly. It looks no different from like what Sony's been doing with their PlayStation Plus programs, where there is another updated version. There's like three tiers of PlayStation Plus, and I think the highest tier, which is pretty expensive, very expensive actually, you can play like the older PS1 games and PS2. It's all going to be emulation. It's all going to be like it's all online digital. From the most part, it looks like it's going to be that way too in this case, where you're going to emulate your older games. And cool, that's one way of protecting your library. But at the same time, what is it going to look like? Are you going to buy these games separately? Is it through a subscription pack? I don't know if you went over it yet.
So they're explaining, if you have the Nintendo Switch online, the Nintendo Online Plus expansion pack membership, you get access to the Nintendo 64, you get Game Boy Advanced, and the Sega Genesis. The standard, and if you have and also if you have just the Nintendo Switch Online, you also would get the NES, the Super NES, and the Game Boy. So the OG Nintendo systems. So if you have the Nintendo Switch Online Plus expansion pack, which, by the way, for those who don't know what the expansion pack is, it's essentially what the old Xbox Live used to be. For those of you who played old school Call of Duty, like Modern Warfare, 98% of people played Call of Duty on Xbox 360. Reason being, yes, you had to pay for Xbox Live as opposed to the free PlayStation Network. But the difference was if you had the Xbox 360, you got the map expansion. So when Call of Duty would add new maps about once a quarter, you got those maps for free and you got them first. Whereas the PlayStation Network, you had to buy it. Was the original like loot box, not loot box, but microtransaction.
Yeah, I think it was
DLCs. DLCs.
Yeah, we also had to wait a month too.
Yeah, it was a month between. So people, that was the reason why Xbox 360 Live was so far superior to the PlayStation Network. And I will hand it to Xbox Game Pass. The current incarnation of Xbox Live is they are doing the same thing. They're allowing certain games, including those that are EA Sports, to be available for free. And we've talked about that in the past. Like, well, why are you giving away free games? Because it sells a membership.
Yeah.
And so the Nintendo is based on nostalgia. It always has been. It always will be. It's based on nostalgia. If you look at the three main franchises on the Nintendo system is Mario. There's my camera. Mario, Zelda, Pokemon. Okay. Mario and Zelda are over 40 years old.
Yeah.
Pokemon is, I think, coming up on 30, 35 years, I think, this year or next year.
Yeah.
So it's based on nostalgia. Now, Jerry asked you the question. If you have the Switch Online, you do not have to pay for these games. So these are, if you're looking on the video stream right now live, like there's just some of the Game Boy games, Donkey Kong Land, so all these old games. So it has a lot of has all the games that they have control over. Not a lot of third-party games because they don't want to pay licensing. Sega Genesis, you'll have a lot of their games. There's some new games coming out that came out this year. Donkey Kong and Mario's Picross. I don't know, whatever it must be. It's kind of some kind of like. Let's see, what are some of the other games too? The NES. Old school games. It's kind of fun to go back and play Mario, go play Donkey Kong Jr. Now you're probably asking, go to Nintendo 64. What do they have? There you go. 1080 Snowboard, Banjo-Kazooie, Excitebike 64. There it is right there. One of the greatest games that ever played. GoldenEye 007.
Yeah.
You do have, and you can play online.
Yeah.
So there's some of the games. And again, you don't have to pay extra for these games. You just have to play.
It's definitely going to be an interesting case though. But because one of the things here is that we're gonna have to figure out, like, if they're gonna have to figure out the streaming service of having to. I have yet to play an older game using the subscription thing, right? It's if I know like my level of experience when it comes to like streaming games from their servers to my just straight up my console, it's a pretty laggy experience. I can tell you that. Unless you can somehow download it specifically, which I've have done with my PlayStation Plus stuff, where you can download straight to the video game itself. It's going to be a rocky road, possibly for Nintendo in this case. But overall, they're making the right calls at the moment. I do know that the expansion. The one question I'm definitely going to ask though is like, will this new expansion per se of like having the much older games, will that add onto the price of the current Nintendo Switch Online expansion pack? Right. Individually, right now you can pay for per year is $50, right? Which is what $50 was once the price for both the PlayStation Plus and the Xbox Live Gold before, like years ago. Now, it's just freaking not even that much. Well, it's not even that long ago, maybe a year or two ago now, where The family pack that's for the individual price. The family pack is $80 a year if you want to have it on more than one account. Will that raise? Will that price be raised now because of the the quote unquote extra games that are on that you can possibly download now? That might possibly be the reason, because like you look at like the services now specifically for like, let's say, PlayStation Plus Extra or the premium one, right? I think it's $140 a year for PlayStation. If you want to get the highest tier, like 120, 140, that's at one point that's 2 games, right? That's the price of 2 games before. It's expensive. It's massively expensive. That's just if you want to pay for just wanting to play games online, I think that's like it's like $60 or $70, right, per year for the basic membership, right? Just to play online and get your free game. You get your free 3 games a month per se for a PlayStation. It's definitely an interesting. It's definitely an interesting time now for Nintendo, because they're now going to come into what we've had problems with not just with Sony but for Xbox as well. We're like, okay, this is how we've been going about it. This is how they've been trying to make their money back. With granted, Nintendo was a different beast because they haven't had to scrounge for cash. They haven't had to scrounge for cash in the way that Sony and I can't say Microsoft, but like having to like have profit for their systems, right? For their consoles specifically. But yeah, it just will Nintendo basically be kind of being meet the Joneses with their console of like, oh yeah, we're gonna also charge $100 for subscription services now. We're also gonna charge a little bit more extra now, because going into I kind of want to segue into the new reality of they're the first ones to start with $80 per game. Are they going to then do the same thing in their other aspects with subscription basis, right? Is that going to be the norm now for every other freaking studio coming out, where they're like, oh well, since Nintendo has done it, we'll raise from 70 to 80. Our 60 are I'm already still kind of pissed off with the current price hike of $10 more from 60 to 70. That's still pissing me off today.
Oh yeah,
$80? That's a little tough. How do you feel? Yeah.
Considering that they were already their game system, their games are on little discs. They're on micro SD. They're basically on SD cards. Okay. They're on SD cards. The PlayStation 5, the Xbox Series S are both on CD. They're on Blu-ray discs. Yeah. And Nintendo for the last couple of years, with no new hardware. Okay. The PlayStation 4 in 2019, right? It was 2019, so we're talking about almost 6 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Or let's say it. We're calling it is 6 years ago. They were charging what? $50 a game, $60 a game in 2019. Okay. In 2019, Sony was charging $50-$60 a game.
Yeah.
And no one was batting an eyelash.
Yeah.
PS5 comes out, next gen system. Oh, by the way, we're going to charge $70 a game. Mind you, 2020 is when the PS5 comes out. The Nintendo Switch has already been out for 3 years. And then the Switch keeps going. Now the PlayStation 5 is charging $70 a game.
Okay? I will say too, the Switch, when Tears of the Kingdom came out, that was $70.
Yep. So, and that's because they could. And people go like, well, and no one batted an eyelash. No one batted an eyelash at Tears of the Kingdom being $70.
Yeah.
Now, did I go, oh my gosh, no, screw that. I would went, oh, I really want that game, but you know what? $60-$70, I just can't pull it right now. That's the difference. Is they go, oh, I really want that game, but I just can't pull $70. As opposed to people go, oh my God, $70? Okay. There is a small minority of consumers
Hmm.
right now that are bitching and complaining about the price. And and people are going, "Oh my God, why are they charging $500 for this system?"
Yeah.
Well, why not?
Okay.
Yeah. It's compare and contrast. Oh, is it because you can go out right now and get a OLED switch with a dock, a thing, a micro SD card, all the bells and whistles. Oh, and a membership, by the way. If anyone's looking for a deal,
yeah.
Costco. Switch 1, $400. Dock, system, micro SD card, the little Joy-Cons, one of these, okay, and a 1-year prepaid membership to Switch Online.
Okay.
Now, you mentioned at the top of the broadcast, JR, $450 rather, for the new Switch 2. What does it come with? Dock, system, okay, dock, system, cable, one of these, Joy-Cons. The only thing it doesn't come with for $450 is a 1-year prepaid online membership and the micro SD card. Okay. For $50 more than what you could get at Costco right now for $3.99. Tell me why $50 more for your Gen 2 system is that big of a deal. Oh, and by the way, for an additional $50, you can get a $80 game, which again, people go like, well, it shouldn't be. It should only be a $50 game. Okay, let's say it is. You're still getting a $50 game. Okay. So to anyone out there, and even if you can find it cheaper, if you can find a Switch for cheaper, and I'm sure you can find a Switch by itself for $200 or $300, cool. But it's not going to be the OLED. And there is some things we mentioned that allows the OLED to be superior than the Switch, the OG Switch 1. And I think there's going to be some things on the OLED we talked about already. Maybe their built-in resolution isn't there, but the screen clarity is probably the technology of the screen is going to be technically better. Okay.
Yeah.
In the OLED than it is the Switch 2. But the internal components are going to be better. This is the argument that people go like, okay, cool. Because remember, this is the equivalent of a computer and a monitor built in. So what I'm telling you is the compare and contrast. Right here, the monitor is going to be better in this system right here than the Switch 2. But the components of the computer are going to be better. The graphics card is going to be better. The processor is going to be better. The hard drive is going to be better. That's what it is. So that's where I'm trying to compare the OLED Switch to the Switch 2. So you're getting a close comparison for $50 less at Costco right now. So I don't have a price for those who bitch and complain. Would I love to see the Switch 2 at $200? Fuck yeah, it would. Is Nintendo going to do it? God, no, they're not going to do it. Okay. So, by the way, I don't want to hear a damn thing about tariffs in the comment section. And I know people are on blowing up IGN and Nintendo. It has nothing to do with fucking tariffs. Because if it was tariffs and it was coming from the Asian market, it would be $700. Sorry. Okay. So shame on Nerdist, shame on IGN, shame on a lot of the gaming blogs and social media out there who are using the financial the current financial / social political landscape over the last 24 hours with the tariffs.
Yeah.
Okay. This is okay. I'm going to chase. This is a hashtag Kevin rant right now. I'm going to chase a rabbit real quick. For those who don't know, my real job is I work in the lumber business. Okay. I sell and buy lumber on a daily basis. And for the last 60 days, I've had to deal with uneducated people saying, how are the tariffs affecting you? How are the tariffs affecting you? Okay. The only tariffs that are affecting me is that on hardware, steel, nails, stuff like that. So if I buy hangers or nails, it's affecting me because it's manufactured, 90% of it is manufactured with Chinese steel, which is facing a 30 to 35% tariff. Okay. Which, by the way, we won't see the effects of those tariffs until July. And people go like, well, what about the lumber you buy from Canada? I don't buy lumber from Canada. Do you know the only lumber that comes from Canada? Okay, other than an occasional OSB, which is like a type of plywood, is cedar. And by the way, the cedar market has been controlled by the Canadian government for nearly 50 years. And it's subsidized by the Canadian government, and it is manipulated and shipped across the states even without a tariff. Okay. But I'm telling you right now that the United States is facing 0 tariffs on building material when it comes to lumber. Okay. And it's the same thing. So educate yourself on this. Now, is there a possibility that things will become difficult to get? Yes. But we saw that during COVID because of shipping restrictions. But do not blame tariffs because the $450 price point, entry-level price point, is not that bad. The $500 price point for the game and the system, not that bad. Now, do I have $500 to drop on this gaming system? On the record, no. Am I stupidly going to fucking buy this thing? You're damn right I'm going to. But I'm sorry. I know that they're out there. And what's funny is over the last couple of hours, those uneducated minorities have, and when I say minorities, I don't mean people of color. I mean people who are in the vocal minority. So you shut up. So sorry, hashtag in rant.
No, here's the thing, right? I'm glad you attacked it from that point, right? We won't necessarily see the ramifications, quote unquote, right, of these tariffs until quite literally months.
At the earliest July, I'd say, or at least July.
Yeah, we won't know it, right? If we have somehow a big price hike from like $50 or more, so maybe we could probably pinpoint that. But overall, the tariffs right now and all the initial things, like this shit does not, the initial price of things won't happen until overnight. Things that are being paid for, things that have been bought for, things that are being shipped right now, they're already shipping from the certain price, right? Blah blah blah. Yeah. That goes to say we will hopefully, what's the freaking evergreen term I'm looking for? We will put a pin on it and we'll look at it in a different time slot, right?
Yeah.
I'm glad that you attacked this conversation from the point of like, comparison of prices of the old Switch. I'm gonna try to attack it from a different point, right? The Switch itself, the pricing, it's not anything too different to me, right? I think I bought my PS5 for $500.
Yeah, like, I think I did the same thing.
I bought it for $500, right? The price points for the PS5s, right? I'm probably gonna end up buying a PS5 Pro as well eventually. I'll probably end up buying a the PS5 the VR headset, right? Eventually too.
I'm very, by the way, sidebar. I'm very tempted on that.
Yeah, because I think the price point for that one's dropped down for like $250 now. It was once $500 too. It'll drop down as well. The PS5 Pro, I think it's $600 to $700 or something like that, and that's lesser now. It's gonna eventually drop soon too. I'm gonna attack this in a different mindset, right? The Switch 2, the pricing for it, in the wheelhouse of like us buying consoles, that's about the same, right? It's about on par. The problem that I have is never with the console itself, but more so the pricing of the games afterwards. Because one, it's fucking Nintendo. It's Nintendo. And whatever they do, if they're a Sony, if you're a Microsoft, if you're a Nintendo, if you price your games at a certain price point, the everyone in the market, they follow suit, right? So when Nintendo, that's Nintendo, they want to price their games at $80, there is a conversation to be said, and there's an argument said that it's worth it because it's a Nintendo game. You expect a level of quality with that game. I'm not fucking paying $80 for a fucking Ubisoft game. Point blank, period. I'm not paying fucking $80 for an EA game. For a Madden 20 whatever, $80 for the same fucking game 15 years ago? Hell no. I think this is inherently my problem with it, is that granted, yes, the market will write itself out and we're going to see more of this shit happen, right? And this is a bigger conversation with just how the gaming sphere and the gaming marketplace and how gaming in general, within the sense of like how development is gonna, that's a whole different conversation. Bro, would you pay $80 for Justice League Kills the Suicide Squad?
No.
Fuck no. It's hard paying $70 for that game. It's hard for, I still have, qualms of wanting to download that game for free on my PS Plus account. It's been free for a minute, and I don't know if I want to put the emotional investment into that game, right? Yeah. Would you pay $80 for the new Dragon Age game?
No.
I'm a big Dragon Age fan, and I don't even want to pay $40 for it. It's technically free right now on PSN Plus, and I don't want to see if I'll put that level of investment into it, right? Games like Elden Ring, $60. Game of the Year candidate, $60. Cyberpunk 2077, PS4 day one bought, $60. Free upgrade, by the way, when you do the PS5 edition. Spider-Man 2, $70. And I'm gonna just say that just to say this. This game, as though I love it, is not worth this game. I love Spider-Man 2. I do. But the level of content, quality, storytelling, all that stuff just doesn't match up to its other contemporaries when you're talking about when you're talking about the worth of a game. And again, I'm not talking about I'm not talking about like
demand.
What?
It's also supply and demand, because remember the average Switch game is not $80. Will not be $80.
So that's the point. This is inherently the point I'm going to try and make too. Again, Switches, the Nintendo sphere is so weird because you have games that cost $60 to $70 now, right? The highest one, of course, being Tears of the Kingdom, right? But you also have games costing like $30, right? It's a weird average of games on the first day. I'm not talking about like years afterwards, but on the first day. But again, the market is going to go after the highest, Nintendo game. So that's inherently my problem here. Where like the context here is that people are going to look at Nintendo and say, hey, they're worth $80. Or furthermore, when Grand Theft Auto 6 came out, or is going to come out eventually, there's these talks of like, oh, that could be $100 game. Are you freaking crazy?
Yeah. And what's sad is people will pay for it.
And so, but that's the thing though. Every game isn't Grand Theft Auto. It won't be. Every game is not going to be a Breath of the Wild or a Zelda. And granted, even in my opinion, Breath of the Wild and Zelda is kind of, and the Tears of the Kingdom is kind of a step back from their previous Zelda games. That's just my opinion too. I don't want to pay $70 for a game I know, for me, in my opinion, feels more like a Ubisoft game. Right? And so again, that's the conversation we might have, man. Go ahead.
And see, I look at it this way: is, am I going to play $80 for Spider-Man?
Mm-hmm.
Probably. Am I going to pay $80 for the Avengers game? Now, granted, I did buy that game because I was, but I waited for take it back. I think I bought it for $30 at Costco. Take it back. I think I did wait.
Yeah.
But then again, looking back, did I waste $30? Yeah. But would I have paid, knowing what I know, even knowing what I know, would I have paid $30 for the game? No. Am I willing to pay $80 for a third, assuming this is where it goes, to a third Zelda game, the inevitable third part to the Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom, and then the third movie? Yeah. Am I willing to pay? Yes. Am I willing to pay 70, 80 bucks for Pokemon ZA? Yes. Am I willing to pay 80 bucks for Mario Kart World? Yes. There are going to be fans out there that are willing to pay for a new Mario game. They're willing to pay for a new Donkey Kong game. They're willing to pay for Pokemon. They're willing to pay for Metroid. They're willing to pay for Animal Crossing. They're willing to pay for Zelda. Are they willing to pay for Nightblade Revenge of the Zombies made by Tomogashi Studios? No. But are you willing to pay for a similar game on, a similar kind of niche third-party game on the PlayStation, the Xbox? And that's the other thing too you have to take into consideration. Okay, take this into consideration. Look what we're talking about. Okay, look at Xbox. So what is Xbox known for? Now, granted, they have to deal with EA. So if you have Game Pass, if you're an Xbox fan, and you don't have Game Pass, you're dumb. It's worth it.
All I'm gonna say to this too, over that point, Game Pass, just enjoy it while it lasts, because that also is a different conversation. We're like,
I know there's some changes coming, but like you look at Microsoft, you look at the Xbox, and for the longest time, why did you buy the Xbox? Halo. Okay. And Halo was the top tier, was the tip of the spear when it came to video games. Look at Sony. What are their top video games? Spider-Man, Spider-Man 2, Spider-Man Miles Morales. Spoiler alert, guess who owns the rights to Spider-Man? Sony. Guess who owns the rights, the video game rights to Mario? Well, obviously Nintendo. To Zelda, Mario. To anything Luigi and Donkey Kong, Nintendo. So Mario, Luigi, Donkey Kong, Zelda, all are Nintendo franchises. Okay. Animal Crossing, who owns the rights? Nintendo. It's developed by other ones, but who owns the licensing? Nintendo. Oh, by the way, who owns the gaming license for Pokemon on this? You guessed it, Nintendo. So they can demand the $80 price tag because it's their game. It's supply and demand, and it's going to be a superior game because the game's developed by Nintendo.
Yeah. So again, the conversation,
they have direct direction over for superior games.
So that's the conversation that is going to be in line of like everything that I have a problem with game development in the modern day, where out of the last couple Pokemon games, which ones were worth it?
Out of the last recent console main series games that were worth it, probably would be Legends Arceus, Sword and Shield. I will admit that Scarlet and Violet kind of warmed up on me, but pretty much anything beyond Sword and Shield was worth it. Pikachu and Eevee were just remakes of the original game, which I think was Red and Gold or Red and Blue, or no.
Yeah. So in any case, the scenario is this: you have to really heavily rely upon the credentials of those who are making it, right? Because I very much the same way. I felt the same way about Sony, right? When you talk about developing AAA platform games, you think, we think of the brand of Sony, where they've had this huge pedigree. Last of Us Part 1, God of War, that's the Ragnarok, the recent iteration of that series. You're talking about Ghost of Tsushima and all these other games, right? It wasn't until quite literally like you see this weird pivot where there isn't a lot of great game development, or a lot of great, or at least that resulting in great games. You see a lot of like mainstay development companies like from BioWare or from what's the current one, Monolith Studios, who made these great games of the past.
Step away just for a second, Jay. You run this show.
What? Oh, me?
Yeah, go ahead. I'll be right back.
Yeah. Okay, I'm going on a little bit of a rant, but yeah. So we see this, we see this like this air now of seeing these games of these game developers of the past now just not be there and not be worth their $80 price point or their $70 price point at this point now. So you have games where or companies where they've had these great great games with the past. Again, Mamba Studios that made the Lord of the Rings franchises, right? The I forgot the actual name of it, but the Lord of the Rings franchise where you play as the character. Oh my gosh, I'm blanking on it right now. But the more recent one there, and they're done. They're gone. And the game development from that and having to understand just the ultimate complexities as well as just horrible like just reality of like being under the thumb of people who only care about money, being the head CEO and the people that are in the small chairs, trying to run your company. That sucks. So how does that then translate to price point, and how does that translate into Nintendo? And we're talking about Nintendo, I feel is it could definitely help the overall market by not charging their very high marquee games $80. Like again, like I think it's been counted for that this generation of games, people have been really, really, really smart with their money and not wanting to buy certain games, right? We've already seen it. We've already seen this chapter transition where games they flop so hard and developers and studios they shut down because of it. And people want to make claims like, oh, it's because of the studio here, because of the because the parent company of this, the publishing company of that. It's like, well, that's all fine and dandy, but at the same time, did you just make a good game overall? And we could talk about the other geopolitical stances. We could talk about the politics involved, all that bullshit. Just but for me, is your game good? Period. Is it just good? Is it just fun to play before all the other all the other stances of the world, right? Before that, if it's not good, of course it's going to not do great in sales, and of course inevitably you're going to fall. Your company is inevitably going to close down, especially in this day and age where paying $70 for fucking Suicide Squad isn't going to cut it. Or like, it's crazy to me how Warner Bros, right? These motherfuckers, they made $1 billion on Harry Potter and how controversial that was. And then quite literally within the span of a year, they closed down a studio that is probably one of their best studios in a very, very long time. And how that, and all because they made a game where it had to feature this rogues group of people who are all kind of just melee people, all use guns. And kill Suicide Squad, kill the Justice League, but not really in the end, unless you're Wonder Woman. Oh, sorry, spoiler alert. They kill everybody. They only kill Wonder Woman in the end for Suicide Squad. Like the studio shut down, and we have this dog and pony show of all the media people of gaming go, oh my gosh, it's so horrible. Thousands of people lost their jobs. Yeah, sadly, it sucks, but at the same time, their game wasn't great. That was the market. That's the market telling you. Are we going to now, further push, like if people are going to further push this $80 price point, and we see that is basically adopted through everyone else in the market, and we see a bunch of other studios close down because people ain't just willing to spend $80 on your not so good game? That is the question now. I feel like it's going to be the same thing with Sony, or like if Naughty Dog, comes out with a bust of their recent one. I think it was called the what was the recent game that they just announced? I forgot the name of it. But like that, if that one bombs, is Naughty Dog going to close down because they also adopted an $8 price point? Is the possibility that Sony Santa Monica that made God of War Ragnarok, which is probably one of their best games ever, if they made a new iteration of that and that fucking bombs, will they close down? Like how many studios from Microsoft already closed down? So again, you have thousands of people because of bloat, because of COVID, and everybody trying to go into game design, blah blah blah. A lot of people, this whole buzz term called brain drain, where all the people that made a franchise great, they all left the company, right? Because of corporatism and all that shit, blah blah blah. Like you see thousands of people now just lose their job because the game sucked, and two, it's priced way too high for anybody who wants to justify spending $70 on it.
Yeah,
like that's just tough. Like I've bought some games that suck, but they weren't $70. They were like $40, $30. That was back in the day, and that was much more easy to stomach. $70, $80 now? You crazy, brother? You crazy? Like, and that's not just not Nintendo. That's just like Nintendo is such a huge leader in this space where everyone follows suit, but everyone isn't Nintendo. That's the problem here. Ubisoft nearly shut down because Assassin's Creed, as one was looking like, hadn't sold enough. They have had to basically be in bed with Tencent, a Chinese company, to make a whole new games division to to make more Assassin's Creed and was it Assassin's Creed? That one freaking game where you were a hacker. I forgot the name of it, and Rainbow Six. They made a whole new subdivision just for that one, right? And they're screwing their original investors of the Ubisoft brand. So it's like we're in this scenario, and more people are going to lose their job initially. Thousands of people. I'm not going to be surprised. I won't be surprised if this year we see thousands of layoffs, even worse than last year, because of just the overall hike, pricing the heist price, as well as just overall quality going down because all the OGs have trying to make their own companies. Like what was that Perseus, or what was that one quote where it was the ship, the Perseus ship? Like, is it still the same ship if you take out all the boards and rebuild it? Is it the same ship still? We're at that point. We've been at that point. So I don't know, man. $80 is gonna be a wild one, bro. I know for damn fact if that happens, I'm not gonna, my gaming purchases are gonna be much less and less and less in comparison to years time, bro. I used to work at a video game store. I used to work in one, and I like at every paycheck. This is horrible financial decision. I would buy a game, and the rest would go to whatever. But that's just me working in a video game store. Then that's how easy I had it. In $40 to $50 at the time was still kind of tough. Now we're at $60, $70, $80, $100 possibly. There are games right now with their extra edition being sold at $120. You have to be really the top echelon AAA games to really try to command that price. And if you're not, don't do it, man. You're not Nintendo or Capcom at this point.
Yeah.
So that's just, it's going to be tough. It is going to be tough to see when you see inevitable layoffs, because everyone else because not even Sony is a Nintendo, right? That is the problem here. Everyone thinks they can price their shit at $80, but they're not Nintendo.
No.
And hopefully, Nintendo can still be, Nintendo can still, have that same level of quality. Because I brought up initially the Pokemon thing. The last couple of Pokemons weren't great, man. Specifically on the graphical side, as well as just them trying to keep up with the modern day Western development of having high fidelity graphics and just running, right?
Yeah.
That is a whole different bridge we got to cross eventually, man. But overall, man, yeah, the ball is definitely in Nintendo's court, and we'll see how that goes. We'll really see how that goes to command the market.
It should be interesting. It should be noted right now, you can register your interest in pre-ordering the Nintendo Switch 2, which, by the way, according to comicbook.com, it was nearly named the Super Nintendo Switch. Not gonna lie, I'm not mad at that name.
Not really mad at it.
That would have been kind of cool. So the process, if you're interested in registering your interest to buy the Nintendo Switch from the Nintendo store, by the way, this is just from the Nintendo store. You have to have a Nintendo account and register your interest in purchasing, because this is Nintendo's website, and probably this will be your easiest way of getting it. Sign in with the Nintendo account and register your interest in purchasing a Nintendo Switch 2 system and select accessories from the official My Nintendo store. We'll be in touch with an invitation once it's your turn to shop. By the way, so I registered yesterday.
Nice.
You will receive a invitation on May 8th. The game system releases on June 5th. Open a Nintendo account. Open to Nintendo account holders in the United States and Canada who are 18 years or older. If you are eligible, an invitation will be sent to the email address associated with the Nintendo account when it is your time to purchase. So let's just say, for example, my account, my Nintendo account, is a family account. Okay. It's myself, my 2 kids, and my ex-wife. Okay. If my ex-wife wants to buy the Switch 2, guess what? She can't, because I'm the primary email holder on the account. So I had to be the one that registers. Let's see. When you're trying to purchase, the invitation will be valid for 72 hours. Invitation emails will be prioritized on a first come, first served basis to registrants who have purchased a Nintendo Switch Online membership with a minimum of 12 months of paid membership and a minimum of 50 total gameplay hours as of April 2nd, 2025. Once invitation emails have been sent to all registrants meeting the priority criteria, invitations will be sent to the remaining eligible registrants on a first-come, first-served basis. Invitations are non-transferable and will be sent to the email address associated with the Nintendo account that registered interest in purchasing Nintendo 2. Optional accessories will be available to purchase alongside your system. For system, each accessory. This is all from the website. By the way, if you read the fine print, the Mario Kart World game, I believe, is not a physical game. It will be a downloaded game. So it says Nintendo Switch 2 and Mario Kart bundle, which is what I registered for, includes full game download, the next evolution of Nintendo Switch, limited time production through fall 2025. So for those of you who are collectors and want a first gen version of this, you are guaranteed, if you buy this bundle, you are guaranteed a quote unquote Gen 1. So, which will be a limited time production from now through the fall of 2025. So, just that kind of the way I read it. Full payment will be required at time of checkout. Nintendo Store accepts Visa, MasterCard, Google Pay, and Apple Pay pay methods. And
that actually answers one of my questions I was gonna have for you. So you're initially gonna hopefully be one of the very first wave of people to buy to actually get yours in to Cop One. Yeah. So initially, I was thinking about it myself. Get a Switch too, but I'll probably be one of the people who are like, I'll wait. Particularly, right? I've always been one to wait. I think I waited a year for my PS5. Granted, I had to wait a year because scalpers, all that shit. Didn't get mine until like not a year necessarily, but like at least 8 months. I'll probably wait and inevitably wait for the OLED edition, like you said. Wait for the OLED edition, or wait for probably other bundle packages where like, there's the upgraded version of Breath of the Wild, or there's the upgraded version of this game or that game.
Within a year there will be some kind of bundle at Costco.
That's definitely there
thing. Will. And that started all the way back with the PlayStation 2. They've always done that. I mean, if the best pound for pound, the best deal I have ever seen for a video game system was the PlayStation 2 at Costco back in like 1999 and 2000, because it was the only way you could buy in one fell swoop. You could buy the system and 2 controllers and a game. I think the PlayStation 2 Costco edition came with what was the Sony car game?
Gran Turismo.
Gran Turismo. So you could get the PlayStation 2, and I also think it came with the hookups, the audio visual hookups, which I think you had to buy. No, you got them with the system. It wasn't until they pushed to HDMI that HDMI was sold separately. But you got everything. You got the game, and you got 2 controllers.
Yeah.
So, but that was a smoking deal. That's where I bought my PlayStation 2. I bought my PS2 at Costco.
I don't recall when I bought my PS2 one. I don't know if I did buy the original PS2 where it was the tray that pulled out. Right. I bought the original one, and then that one broke, so I had to buy. But thankfully enough, it was during the time where the new smaller one came out where you had the pop-up lid.
The Slim, PS2 Slim.
Yeah, so the pop-up lid came on, and I bought that one, and that carried over. That saved me over until the PS3 came out, and I bought the Metal Gear Solid 4 edition. Yeah, and that came with 2 controllers, a 60 terabyte, 80 terabyte, 80 terabyte, no, not terabyte, 80 gig hard drive. It could play the older PS2 games because it had that in it before, and they wiped it out at this point. And it came with Metal Gear Solid 4. And I think it cost me like $500. No, 400, because I think the game itself. No, it was $500 because I remember correctly, the game itself was the PS3 was $599, and then they price reduced it. I just know that I paid $599 for it, like $500 to $600. I paid like MSRP. I forgot the exact price of it, but I got the 80 gig, gig of it. I think it was 80 gig, yeah. And then the Mega Solid 4, and an extra controller with it, and yeah, that was the best price for me. So I was working at Long's Drugs at the time when that shit came out.
Jeez.
Oh man, yeah. So I was a pretty penny back today.
I will be showing some extreme interest in purchasing the system when it comes out. Yeah. I'd like to get it. It will be a long 70 or 72 hours for me to think about it. Real quick as we close things out, we have got, as we see scrolling there on the bottom, we have moved WonderCon from 2025 to 2026 because WonderCon was last week. We'll have a wrap up of that and a preview of San Diego Comic-Con coming up later this spring. But we got coming up, JR, if you saw that scroll right there on the bottom just a couple of seconds ago, we have got something huge coming up in just a couple of weeks. And that is live from Tokyo, Japan. It is Star Wars Celebration Easter weekend.
Funny enough. Wait. Sorry, cut you off. I thought you meant WrestleMania. I was talking about Mania.
WrestleMania is the same weekend.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Matter of fact, let's take a look. Let's see. I think I have let's see, where's the thing? Yeah. Yes, it is. There you go. Check it out. Right. WrestleMania 41, April 19th through the 20th. And I just lost your screen. Well, JR went bye-bye. So yeah, Star Wars Celebration. Oh, okay. Y'all good. So yeah, looking forward to that. Star Wars Celebration is essentially, if those of you don't know what it is, it's essentially Comic-Con for Star Wars and Lucasfilm alone. So I'm really excited to see that coming up. Yeah, there you go. Celebration is just a few weeks away. What can we expect? I think we are going to get probably some updates on the movies. See, where's the official date here? I'm almost positive I have the dates right. Scrolling through here. I know we've been
I'm back. What's up?
Oh, I'm looking up Star Wars Celebration. I'm almost positive those are the dates. Right. Is the same weekend as WrestleMania. But it is this year. It is in Tokyo. And a lot of cool stuff. I think that we should expect updates on, and mind you, this is also Star Wars Celebration is not just Star Wars, it is Lucasfilm, so we could probably see updates on other projects. But I think right now the only thing that's active in Lucasfilm is Star Wars. I think that my prediction for this is we will get updates on Ahsoka Season 2, Grogu and Mandalorian and the Grogu. I think we will get an update on potentially a Season 4 of The Mandalorian. Could we find out if and when we get the Dave Filoni written and directed full feature film, which is expected to be Heir to the Empire? Are we going to get a second season of Book of Boba Fett? Are we going to get a other shows. I think right now the only thing that's for sure is season 2 of Ahsoka. Obviously, we already know that there will be no season 2 of The Acolyte. There will be no season 2 of The Skeleton Crew. And so yeah, I'm excited about it. We'll see a bunch of cool stuff.
Hopefully, we do have more information specifically on.
Star Wars Celebration in Japan will be held April 18th to the 20th at the Makuhari Messe in Japan.
Yeah.
So,
I was actually talking about more so like hopefully we get more information on Tales of the Underworld. I know that got announced recently too with Cad Bane, baby. So hopefully they do him justice for Cad Bane.
Interesting. So yeah, looking forward to that. They do tease. If you scroll through the main page, they do tease. Let's see. In the convention hall isn't for Tokyo, far from Tokyo Disney Resort. Fans of Star Tours, the adventure continue, can experience the thrilling ride of Tokyo Disneyland, which recently updated to include characters in the planet. The fan favorite shows Ahsoka Andor and The Mandalorian, which is what they have in Anaheim as well. So yeah, we will see what happens. That's in a couple weeks. We'll probably do. That's gonna be a busy weekend for us because I think. We were thinking about doing a live stream, but right now because that being Easter weekend, I've got new plans for that weekend. So that might hinder me even watching WrestleMania Night 1. So sorry, JR. But expect us to do a full I think we will do a preview that week of WrestleMania, and then we'll do a wrap up of Star Wars Celebration the week after. So but yeah, we'll probably do some other episodes between now and then.
Yeah. I'm definitely be watching WrestleMania, man, because
I may be streaming. I mean, so I think I'm supposed to be going to a hockey game that Saturday night in San Diego.
Don't worry. I'll most likely text you freaking the freak out. What's gonna happen with basically CM Punk versus Roman and Seth, and so like, are they gonna close night 1 or night 2? I would think they would close night 1, right? Because the initial promo is making it sound. Heyman is making it sound like he's closing the WrestleMania in general, so that's night 2 stuff.
No, that's story that Cody. I'm hearing, the situation I get is that the Roman versus
Punk and
CM Punk versus Seth Rollins is closing night 1. CM Punk versus Cody Rhodes is closing out night 2. Cena and Cody Rhodes will close out night 2. The semi-main for night
1
could be Io Sky versus Bianca Belair versus Rhea. And then Charlotte versus Tiffy Time might close out.
Second close,
might be second to last. But actually, I'm thinking right now it's leaning towards we might get the United States champion. No, is it the U.S. Championship? The Intercontinental Champion. The Intercontinental Championship. There's talk about it being a 4-way matchup. Could be a semi-main. So it'll be interesting where they put that.
Was it Braun Penta? Is Braun Penta and Dirty Dom and oh my gosh, help me out. What's his name?
Is it Jimmy Uso?
No.
Or is it Shinsuke?
No. For Intercontinental, isn't it supposed to be what's the name? Finn Balor.
Oh yeah. Because I think that there's going to be some. I think Finn's going to turn his back on Dirty Dom.
Yeah, so I think that might be the case. I do know that. How do you feel about like? I don't know how I feel about this. How do you feel about another title, like another main title? It's the it's Gunther's title, right? It's funny enough, those don't close nights. That title has never closed a night in the last 2 years now.
See, that's the problem that I have. That's the problem when we talked about this a couple weeks ago. There's too many championships, and I think that
but to start off game 2, kind of weird.
The problem that I have with that's the problem I have with Gunther versus Cody, Gunther is the better champion. And Cody is the better face of the company.
Mm-hmm.
And the problem is you want the face of the company to be your heavyweight champion.
Yeah.
But Gunther is everything that you would want in your main champion. So that's the problem I have, and that's why I think that I don't know. In a perfect world, not gonna lie, perfect world, I would get rid of the championship that in a perfect world, the Gunther championship wouldn't exist. Gunther would be the WWE champion. Gunther would have the belt that Cody has. And Gunther should be facing the Royal Rumble winner in the main event. And that Cody, you don't need the championship for that match.
Yeah.
To be honest.
You don't.
And you have Cody, just have Cody versus Cena.
John, like that?
Yeah. Now I know that John wants to chase the championship, and that's part of his heel persona, is because he's turning on Ric Flair, and we know that Ric Flair is going to be in Vegas. I don't know. I just that's where the problem is you make the title less than.
Yeah.
And that's the problem I have with too many championships.
I get it.
Is you can make a match. You could tell a great story of Cena versus Cody and not need the title.
Yeah.
Case in point, I am loving the Roman versus Seth versus CM Punk. But to be honest, not gonna lie, it could be done without Roman.
Yeah. Like, and the problem, I get it. I think the overall problem here though is that there's a lot of really great fucking chefs in the kitchen. Like I get you have Cena main WrestleMania because again, last year he's gonna possibly retire. I don't know if he'll retire now, honestly, but he's supposed to retire. And that you want to have the guy who's been your face for the last 10 years, right? Not main WrestleMania. I get the point too. Like, yes, Gunther is probably your best wrestler for having a championship, right? And he's been that way. But at the same time, he hasn't sold out shows. He hasn't really.
He should be.
He should be.
He should be.
He should be. I feel like the people like you and I, or the people that really do have enjoyed at least the wrestling enthusiasts, right? Who watch AEW. If Gunther was in AEW, he'd be the champ of all champs. They would push him like he's the champ of all champs.
And then the fans will get bored with him after 3 months and then demand.
Exactly.
The problem is that we live in a video game.
Yeah. That was inherently my problem with AEW to begin with, because they have all these great wrestlers, but there's no story attached to it. And don't get me wrong, Gunther is probably the best wrestler with a title, right? That they have in WWE. The problem is that they can't book him right, and when they do book him right, it's against other wrestlers who aren't in the mainstay, right? All of Gunther's great matches, right, either hasn't been televised or they've been against people that are quote unquote lesser than his talent, right? I think the one with Axiom, right, when he was in Spain, that was a bomb freaking match. Bomb match. But again, I mean, and again, NXT has always been carrying. NXT has been really, really support, saving WWE's credit, wrestling credit for ever now. But it's always been this thing of WWE and in also in retrospect, what's the holding company? The holding company, TKO holding company.
TKO
really wants to really push faces, right? So that's the reason why you have freaking Seth Rollins and CM Punk and Roman Reigns, although Roman he shouldn't be maining. They're maining night one of WrestleMania because that's a money freaking match. Everyone is going to get paid, and in the same instance too, you have John Cena versus Cody, and that's now a money match. Their promos in the last 2 weeks have been amazing. And I can't wait to see the end of that one. I honestly still think that John Cena is probably going to win the match. He's probably going to drop it in SummerSlam, right? That's my opinion. That's how I think it's going to happen. But like, if I was the enthusiast, I wholeheartedly believe Io Sky, Bianca, and Rhea should mainline should main event either night 1 or night 2. That's my freaking opinion. If it was definitely up to me, I would have a 4-way tag team for both titles, and have the greatest 4-way tag teams available right now. And Motor City Machine Guns, New Day for me has been fucking booked horribly. Their heel turn is the craziest pop in the last like 5 years, and they should have been up. But you have New Day, Motor City Machine Guns, DIY, and Axiom and Fraxium. Those are your best 4. Street Profits has come up too, though. But right now, in my opinion, those are your best 4 tag teams. If you want to make it 6, we'll add in, whatever version of Judgment Day and of course Street Profits.
Yeah,
that should be definitely up there. But like, I get why the main events are there, because they're the money matches. Like, they're the money matches. I get it. And yeah, I do see your point of like, yeah, just having too many titles. But again, it's a crazy time we live in where we know there's a lot of great talent. We didn't have this 5 years ago. We had one guy. We had technically 1 or 2 guys, and those 1 or 2 guys really coveted the titles: Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns. Bobby Lashley, Drew McIntyre, he had a good run, but he wasn't the guy.
No.
KO, great worker. He does not compare to Roman.
Purpose.
We're in a time where like we're possibly looking at the future in freaking Braun Breaker, and he got the Intercontinental, he got the IC Championship, and he's looking like the future. Bro, we got Fraxium coming up. They look great. People coming up for the women's division, specifically for NXT. And even though Julia, my girl, she got injured, but Stephanie, my girl, she's carrying the freaking weight. And they're gonna get a call up eventually, sometime in the next year or 2.
Yeah.
And then there's just a lot of cooks in the kitchen. I think that's my biggest thing. And not only that, now, but like, Tiffy versus Charlotte should definitely be like the first match for me. There's no build up. It's gonna look like she's gonna sun. It's gonna look like Charlotte's gonna sun Tiffy. Honestly, there's no the build up hasn't been great, and I don't know how I feel about it. I'm still gonna watch it, but so I'm excited for Mania. If the enthusiast in me was definitely in it, that's how I would book it. But I get why they're doing it now. It's Vegas. You need the main stage to be the main stage. You need the big faces to be the big faces. And so, crazy thing is that The Rock isn't here, not yet. How is that going to go? Are we going to see Stone Cold? Are we going to see Undertaker? Are we going to see Ric Flair?
Will be there. All of them will be there.
Well, but like, as actually make a presence and like, going across. Yeah. I don't want Rick to break another hip. So that's just my thing. But yeah.
So yeah, well, guys, be on the lookout for WrestleMania in the next coming weeks. Our previews that will break down all the matches and stuff like that, because there's still stuff yet to be announced. He is Jared Kamakungan. Oh yeah, I hit the right button. Yeah, I did click the right button. Also not Jared Comics 42 on Instagram. I am Kevin Pillow at Voice of Reason 23 on all social media platforms. As we get closer to June, we will have more information about the Switch. Definitely going to be, if one of the two of us get it, we will be doing some day one live streams of it. We'll figure it out. So
I'll be joining you. I'll be joining you through the chat when that happens.
So. Yeah. All right, guys, have a great one. Look for us in a couple weeks for WrestleMania and for Star Wars Celebration. Yeah. Plus, we'll have a breakdown. I'm sure there will be some trailers coming out in the next week or so after CinemaCon this past weekend as well. And so enjoy the rest of your week. And
Go
that's about
Dyers.
all we
Go
got.
Dyers. Go
Go Dyers.
Dyers. Go Dyers.
Otani Sun
Oh.
saving our ass last night.
Bro, and then just oh my gosh, dude. This is Hollywood. This just
freaking 162-0, baby. Let's go. No, just kidding. Ain't gonna happen.
Bro, at this point, I wouldn't doubt it, honestly.
Yeah.
But like, hey, I'm happy that at least one of my teams is winning right now. My other team is down 9 points. So I'm gonna freak out about that right now.
So, all right.
Hey guys.
We will see you guys. Thank you so much for joining us here on Thursday night, talk about Nintendo. And we will see you. Hit that button. Where's the red button? Get in the button. Hit the string. Hit the button.
LeBron. You see those TikTok videos of like
time to end right